to the topic of the discussion and hit the issues you typically find reluctant. Remove the facade to fill the gap with some substance. We undermining problems, expecting to overcome it. Please hold the applause. We doing it for the cause. People follow culture before they follow the laws. We rather face the friction and not attempt it at all. Persistence will find solutions once our contentment dissolves. There's a hard pill to swallow for anyone breathing, both for folks who stay woke and those who be dreaming. We ain't slaves, yet we still ain't experienced freedom. What we need is the keys to access the kingdom. We're all in this fallen world trying to stay intact. I'm just a beggar, point you out to where the bread is at. So follow the breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel. Thank Yogi Bear and the thought engineer for that on
Happy Monday, good people. We are in the house once again. Man,
what it do? Monday. What it do? What it do out there now? Pick this thing up, man.
It's your big brothers on with you tonight. Your big brothers on with you. I'm Derek, the thought engineer, here with my man, comedian John Yogi. How's it going, man? How your Monday been, man?
Man, you know what? It was actually pretty level, man. Pretty easy, pretty just smooth. They just glided on through. So it was pretty good, man. Pretty good. Glad to be back on the show today, because that's all my Mondays are show Mondays. I'm like, ooh, yeah, got Mondays. Yeah. And all I think about is the show the rest of the day. So yeah, it's great day. Great day, man. Yeah.
Good way to kick off the week too, man.
Yeah.
I hope it's the same for everybody that listens in and watches the show and everything. I hope this is a good way for you to get your Mondays, end your Mondays, and kick off your week. We want to be that for you guys, right? So let me just remind everybody right now, this is Man Talk Mondays. It's an open forum where we talk about the real deal about relationships of all kinds. Romantic relationships, family relationships, parenting, all of this stuff. We deal with all of the stuff about relationships that you need to hear, that you want to hear. But we're doing it from a man's perspective. We got all of these experts out here, but men got something to say about relationships too. And we're trying to bring some common sense to the relationship talk that you hear all the time, right? So men bringing common sense to relationship talk. That's what we're doing. If you want to join into the conversation, you simply go into the comment section, leave your comment, leave your question. We can see this, and this is how you talk to us. But by all means, we want to hear from you. You family, you coming in, come on into the living room, sit down. Get your water, get whatever you just come on. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, right? Appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget as well, we need y'all to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
Tell all your friends.
Hey, go get them.
Let your family know. Like, share, subscribe. You can catch our podcast. We're on all the podcast platforms. We got Google, Spotify, Spreaker, Apple, all those platforms you can check us on. You can catch us on those platforms. Make sure you go and check us out, right? Subscribe to the podcast too. Don't just go subscribe to the podcast.
Yeah.
We got some great episodes out there, so make sure you go back and you check those episodes as well. I mean, we hit some good topics, and we got some funny stuff out there. So go check your boys out. Go check us out. Also, we're on TV, right? We're on TV. If you got a Roku device, a Roku TV, you can catch us live on your TV screen right now at BS3 TV on Roku. BS3 TV on Roku on the BS3 TV channel. We are part of the BS3 network of podcasts. Got some great programs out there, some great podcasts. You can go and you can catch those on BS3 TV on Roku. So make sure you go check that out. And if you don't have a Roku TV or Roku device, you can check out the direct web link. We got a direct web link so you can catch us on your computer. It is bs3tvlive.com. bs3 tvlive.com. But by all means, make sure you go and you check us out. Right? So we won't prolong this any further. We're going to get into our segment that we like to call Man Talk About It. Here we go.
A couple of months back, we had a show called Limp Conversations with Dr. Brandeis. And Dr. Brandeis talked about the importance of having morning wood. So I was on TikTok the other day, and this lady on TikTok said that women also have morning wood. She said women are just as aroused in the morning as men are. Now, I don't really know what household she was talking about because I know mine not. I know if my wife don't have at least 2 cups of coffee, I better not look at her sideways. She said that most women are sexually aroused in the morning just like men are. And I never thought about whether or not I wanted to have relations. I just needed to go to the bathroom. So if you touch my wife in the morning before she has 2 cups of coffee, she's going to bite you, scratch you, pinch you, cut you, stab you, anything she can do to make you stop existing. And then if you do happen to talk her into some type of sex, she going to say, you better hurry up because I don't got all day. I'm already late for work. And she mugging you while you trying. You better hurry up. So for me, it's just not worth it, guys. I'm going to keep trying to do the thing where she waits for me to get sleepy before she come to bed. So I'm going to just stay with that. You guys try the morning wood. And about the morning wood, I hadn't really seen no wood for my wife. And if I do, I'm probably going to be moving. So that's my man. Talk about it. And y'all please help me and see and tell me, is that true for you guys? Because I know it ain't going down for me. D, come talk to me.
Man.
It ain't happening for me, D. D, it ain't happening. You ain't
I just feel sorry for all my podcast listeners because they didn't get the benefit of the visual. You describe it how your wife be mugging you like
here we are, please. We ain't got all day. I don't got all day. You better come on. I'm already late for work. Listen, I done laid in the bed to the last minute anyway. Now here you come. No, bro, she's not having it. She's not having it. Not at all.
Yeah, I don't. Man, people do these random studies. I do remember Dr. Brandeis saying that. He was saying that's a sign that a man is healthy. He's like, that's what you want as a man. It's a sign that a man is healthy. If you wake up in the morning at attention, that means
you got flow.
You got good blood flow and everything. Okay. That's good signs. If not, you need to go to the doctor and get yourself checked out because that's not good. But
my wife ain't trying to see the flow in the morning. She don't want the flow. No flow. No flow, sir. No flow.
You said, you better get on away from here.
You better go in that bathroom and pee in there.
Hey man, I mean, men look for some attention every now and then, you know what I'm saying? Whenever we can, we look for attention. You don't want to be deprived of, relations. That's what we're calling it.
As long as you're not asking for it in the morning, you shouldn't be deprived. There's gonna be some deprival if you try to get it in the morning. Yeah, she's not having that. She is not having that.
I mean, we want people to be in tune with your needs, though, right? Your wife, if your wife in tune with your needs, she understand, right? She's supposed to understand.
And she knows your patterns. She knows your patterns because if y'all have been married for any amount of time, she knows he likes it about this time. He like it like this. He want me to wear this, or he don't want me to wear that. And I can't have the moo-moo on with the headscarf on.
Man, I've heard several people say my grandma wore this moo-moo. She had 11 kids. I don't understand what she had this old moo-moo and it seemed to work fine for her. What's up with all this
It must have
Victoria's
a split.
Secrets.
It had to have a split in the back or something. It had to have a split or something in it, man. Because
The hospital gown. Huh? Well, we laughing about it, but neglecting people, especially neglecting their needs in you in a relationship, in a marriage, neglecting the needs of somebody, it's not a laughing matter, really. Fia said, right, that's a fact. It's not a laughing matter. So we wanna have a real conversation.
Don't y'all start the food. We try to get to the conversation. Don't y'all
Trying to
start
get
the food.
What's going on, Miss Karen? Welcome in. But we want to get to this conversation because we got a good conversation tonight, right? Tonight we talking about loving on E, on empty. Loving on E, loving on empty. When you ain't got nothing in the tank, but yet still you gotta still continue to maintain. You still gotta continue to give out to other people. How do you do that? How do you do that? So to have this conversation, we want to bring in somebody who knows something about serving people and being in that place where, you know, it's all about the people. It's all about giving to the people, helping the people. But what does a man in that position do when he needs? So joining us tonight, we got the Reverend Apostle.
Honorable Apostle.
We got Mike Horn on with us, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Horn, welcome to the show, man. How you doing tonight?
God bless you guys. I'm doing well. I am fine. I am excited to be on here chopping it up with y'all. I'm looking forward to having a blessed time.
This is my man, 100 grand. Well, I've been doing Mike for a minute, man.
Yeah.
Good to see you, brother.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Way back.
Yeah.
Yeah. We call it way back on Bigelow.
Oh,
yeah.
That was back. That
was way back.
Yeah,
when I got saved, came to the Lord, John was one of the first people to help me with that walk. Yeah.
And Mike has recently passed me. I say, I see you. I see you. You're going to do your thing, man. I see you.
He said, don't forget who helped you when you first got started.
Man, I mean, we were there. I used to be a gospel rapper. John was there. When John first started out as a gospel comedian, I was there. Matter of fact, my first album as a gospel rapper, I had him in the lyrics.
Sure
so we go way back from foundation.
Oh, wow.
Foundation.
Wow. Yeah. You should have said something, man. We could have played some of that tonight, man.
Play what?
Some of the album, man. He said, nah.
People think, what people say, can you bust a freestyle? Can you rap or say something? No, I can't.
I was about to kick the cipher off. I'm about to hit the instrumental so you can go.
That's why I don't bring it up. Everybody want me to flow freestyle. No, I can't.
No, I feel you. But I don't know if y'all probably remember that episode of the Cosby Show. I don't know if you can even mention Cosby anymore after all that happened, but this was one particular episode where Theo had lost his girlfriend and he was hurt. Oh, he was hurt. Bill took him in, or Cliff took him into the kitchen, and he had him put some peanut butter and oil on his hands and everything. And he had him over this pan. He was dancing around him, hitting his pan. He was like, and he finally said, say this with me, just repeat after me. I will pay more attention to my woman. I will pay more attention to my woman.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And Theo had lost his girl because he wasn't acting right. He wasn't paying attention to his girl. So how important? I know you a man, you're a busy man, you're a pastor, you're an entrepreneur and everything. Is it easy to get too busy and neglect, because you married, neglect your wife, neglect your family? Is it real easy to do that?
Well, the first thing you need to understand, if you're not paying attention to her, somebody will.
We said that.
All right now. We're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it now.
Yeah. So yes, if you want to keep her, and when I say keep her emotionally, physically, and spiritually, because she can be in the home and not belong to you. She could be
Oh,
in
wow.
the home functioning in
And
her
her lane.
wifely responsibilities, but you ain't got her. Somebody
Oh,
else
wow.
has her wrapped up emotionally.
Okay, wait, stop. So
I
you
know.
you just said she could be in the home doing her wifely responsibilities and still not be there. That reminds me of an old OJ classic that say,
Oh, man.
"Your
Yeah.
mind is here with me, but your
body's on
here with me,
the
and your mind's on the
other side of town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And these days across the street.
Oh, you gotta go not across town, right across the street.
Yeah.
Because you know you got and the internet don't make it any better.
Right.
The internet doesn't make it any better. They can literally feel like they're right there with you, so it don't make it any better. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I think the internet has just opened the door for people from all walks of life to reach into your house, man. So you have access to people that you would normally have access to. Usually you have to be worried about the guy that was close by in the neighborhood or something like that. Now you got to worry about some cat probably in a whole nother state.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
The internet makes communicating with people simple. You remember back in the days when we went to the club, we had to come up with enough, energy to speak, to talk. We had to have our conversation right. Now you can just chat. You can slide in a DM. It's easy to contact, and then they're conversing back to you. And so now it just really makes things convenient in the wrong way,
For those of you who don't know what DM stands for, we call it devilish messages. That's what it is called. They devilish messages. That's what the DMs are, the devilish messages.
Yeah.
That's so y'all clear on what DMs are. They devilish messages, what they are. Stay out, them DMs.
Yes.
So Mike, let me ask you. So is there because do I look at it, there's responsibility on both sides. I think there has to be communication where she's saying where whoever's being neglected needs to say something, because a lot of times relationships can be put on autopilot. And when they're on autopilot, it's hard. The longer you leave it on autopilot, the harder it is to get it off autopilot, because the marriage is just going and nobody's really paying no attention to the direction of it. So I'm asking you, who is there blame for when somebody's being neglected? Who's to blame? I guess we have to put who's to blame for it.
Well, we can assume that everything is fine, and we don't realize that we're neglecting each other. And sometimes in the process of neglecting each other, we don't know what's on the table. So say, for instance, what's being neglected? Do you need more? That needs to be communicated. And sometimes we could get into the routine of life, and we're really depriving ourselves until somebody comes along and give us something that we've been missing. And then all of a sudden, some things stir up, some desires, some wants that we didn't communicate with our spouse. Now another person has stirred those particular things up. And check this out. We walk around with this fantasy about marriage, but our wife or our spouse is not included in that fantasy.
What?
So
we don't even include
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Fantasizing about this perfect marriage, and our spouse is not included in that fantasy. It's a made-up person. The real spouse is communicating with a made-up person in the other spouse's mind. And now that real spouse is trying to figure out, wait a minute, I don't know what you want. But in reality, they're speaking from their desires, their passions. Maybe they got married at an early age and they didn't get a chance to experience life. And now they want to experience life. Maybe now in life, what turned them on in a previous season don't turn them on in this season. And so
now
go ahead.
You just said something, because I hear this a lot. When people say I married early or something like, and I didn't get a chance to experience life. What is experience life? Because what I'm hearing is what people call, we're gonna call it what they call it, the whole phase. You're sowing your wild oats.
That's all it is. That's really all it is. That's all.
But is that life though?
Well, see,
why have we made that life?
Well, see, what happens is, like we talked about earlier, the internet. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, now we got exposure to life outside of our comfort zone in our neighborhoods. And we're looking at people's blogs, and you'll be amazed. People will watch other people just doing a normal routine in their house and just sit there looking at it. My children, I'm like, what you looking at? Oh, she just eating. And what else she doing? Nothing. She's just
Yeah.
eating. Okay.
The mukbang thing, the mukbang. I'm
Exactly.
like, why are you just sitting here watching somebody eat? But
Right.
I
So
get what you're saying. Yeah.
so people are always trying to escape into somebody else's life. And so when
Wow.
they see other people, they all of a sudden, now, you know what? I never had a chance to do that. I would like to experience what they're doing. So it's like a trigger almost, where people are
Mm,
exposed to different things, and now all of a sudden they want it. But in reality, there may have been some things that happen in life that they have been deprived of certain experiences. Well, that needs to be communicated with the spouse. Let's
yeah.
do something
Yeah.
different. Let's go someplace. Let's try something. But instead of communicating, they're kind of like harboring and allowing that infestation and to come and cause them to drift off and open their doors to other people that should not be in their life.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And the thing is, because John alluded to it, the communication isn't happening. Because one thing about us, we love routine. Humans love routine. We don't like to think. We love routine, and it's easy to fall into a routine. But my thing is, how is it that people find it easier to communicate what they want to a stranger than communicating it to the person that really need to hear it?
A lot of things come in. You would be surprised how a spirit of competition will come into a marriage.
Oh,
And yeah,
yeah,
it will
yeah.
come into a marriage. And
Mm.
and we stop. So this is how competition works. Say for instance, let's use church. Say for
Uh-oh.
instance, I went to church. The spouse come home for church and said, boy, it was a powerful time in church. And the other spouse said, well, I had a powerful time too. So instead of saying,
Mm.
really, what was so
Mm.
powerful? How did it make you feel? Instead of getting in the conversation, we compete with the conversation. You hear what I'm
Wow.
saying? So
Wow.
instead of us, we have to change the way we dialogue and talk. Because if you compete with me while I'm conversing with you, then I don't want to share nothing with you.
Cause you
Because
gonna
I
one
don't
up,
Wow.
feel like
cause you
doing
gonna one up me. You gonna one
it.
up me in
Exactly.
everything I do. Yes,
That
Exactly.
is
yes,
crazy.
yes,
Yes. I,
yes.
That
I
is
I went to the
crazy.
store and had a good time. Oh, well, I had a good time at the store too. Well, when I was at the store, somebody gave me something. Well, when I was coming out the store,
Yeah,
I found
yeah,
$5.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? So little things.
Mhm.
Instead of saying, really, did you enjoy it? Asking questions that will cause a fulfillment, right? And then
Mm.
participating with that particular fulfillment. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah. So Walker LaShawn, she says, life to me was doing things for myself only. That's what I'm doing now. I've never lived alone. I married at 19, divorced 11 years later. I had 3 children. So I've always been needed by someone. Now it's hard for me to even want to deal with anyone because I'm enjoying life for myself now. So I guess she's making reference to when we're talking about you hadn't lived. And I just think I think people get living now. If you trying to take on life and just trying to get a sense of independence, try to get a sense of
Who you
who
are?
you are
Yeah.
as an adult, that's
Mhm.
one thing. But does it have to include everybody knowing you too? You know what I'm saying? Does it
Yes,
have to include that?
being ran
That's
through.
what.
You ain't got. Can you keep your pants up while you're doing life? That's what I want to know. Because most of the time when we talk about doing life, we got a hospital going on with your back
Mm,
out when you're doing life. Make me
right.
understand if we can do life and keep our clothes on while we're doing it. Because while you're doing life, you're supposed to be trying to figure out what's the best thing for you, what's the best path for you, what's the best career for you, what are the best things that's going to enhance your life, rather than having a different man up under you all the time. And I'm not saying that's what you do. I'm asking is when we do life, can we do it without always having to have somebody underneath us?
Well,
on
listen,
top of us, everything. Yeah.
you know, people have different issues, different backgrounds, different relationships. In one marriage, this woman, you know, maybe the husband had a sexual addiction or something, and sex may not be the issue. People depending on her, working for other people. Now she's at a point where that stress is off. I think it depends on the person. I understand, John, what you're saying. Don't make an excuse to be a hoe. Don't allow the fact that you didn't experience life to make you go out there and get with randoms and different people.
Right.
So you really got to define what you were missing.
It sounds so much better coming from him than it did me.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, listen, I've been pastoring a lot of years. I've dealt with a lot of relationship, and I've made mental notes of certain issues and conversations that's real. And I'm a realist. I'm at a point where if that person says that that's their issue, then don't deny it or make them don't even try to spiritualize it. That's just their issue. And so now that they have exposed their issue, they don't want to be criticized. They want help with the issue. And so we got to look at it from a natural perspective, emotional perspective, and spiritual perspective. Because in marriages, you know, it's a lot of escaping. And I'm not talking about physically escaping, but mentally escaping and spiritually escaping. We're around, and let me tell you something. It's just in certain counseling sessions that I'm in, you would be surprised how in the midst of being intimate, that one of those spouses, you ain't the one they with.
Well,
that's one thing Miss Lewis asks me constantly. If I look into like I'm going somewhere, she's like, where you at? Where you at? I'm sitting here constantly. No, I'm serious, man. Like she knows this. Like I gotta make sure he's right here with me the time that we're supposed to be together. She does that to me constantly. I'm like, girl, I'm right here. I'm looking at you. I'm like this, girl. I'm right here. I'm right here.
So let me ask this question. I'm gonna put this out to everybody. Even if you listen and then you want to answer this, hop in and answer this question. What does loving on E look like in relationships? What does it look like? Loving on E, what does it look like in relationship?
To me, loving on E seems to indicate that you have nothing left, and you are deprived of fulfillment yourself, because you're probably deprived emotionally. Because let me tell you something, my wife and I, we had to fall in love emotionally. When we fell in love emotionally, sex was communicating the emotional side. Agreement was communicating the emotional fulfillment. Our conversation was communicating the emotional fulfillment. So I got excited to buy things for her. We went to Vegas, and while we were in Vegas, because emotionally we are connected, I didn't have a problem buying her some Prada or buying her something expensive, because I was communicating my emotional fulfillment through getting something for her. And if that's not there, I really think, as I've been talking to a lot of couples, that one of the main reasons why people get divorced is because there's emotional deprivation. They're just not being fulfilled emotionally. And somebody else or something else has came in and replaced that spouse, and that spouse didn't even know that they have been replaced for years potentially.
The thing that makes that difficult to see, Mike, is but we still having sex, but we're still going through the marriage routine, because normally when the marriage is over, the first thing a woman pull from is the sex. And if she's still going through those patterns, now we don't have a clue. We think everything is fine, and she's been gone for 2 months. So it makes it just if it's not communicated, it really makes it difficult to know what's going on if we're not talking.
Would you be surprised if your spouse is a freak?
Yeah, if I didn't know about it.
No, because the
That's what
first
y'all
thing
be
you want to
asking.
know, is where you get that from. That's what you want to know, and that's where the conversation
That's
gonna
true.
get messed up. Let me get Queen 3 and King real quick. It says loving on E is simply going through the motions of marriage with no emotional intimacy or connection. That's what Michael's just saying, and John was just saying you're going through the motions. And I think Afia says, I think understanding each other's love language is important. And I know how John feel about love language. He loved that. He loved that talk about love language. But here's the thing. Let me get Wanda. Wanda says emotional deprivation, communication, and money are reasons couple end up in divorce court. Now, here's one thing
That's my wife,
I've.
by the way.
Oh, that's the wife. Okay, what's going
Yeah,
on? What's going on? Welcome into the show. One thing I've said is there is not enough full disclosure in the beginning. We don't know how to do full disclosure in the beginning of a marriage. It's like when you go and you buy a car. When you buy a car, if they don't disclose to you everything that's a problem with it, you take it home and now you discover all this stuff. Now, here's the thing. I tell people, I said, a car with a lot of issues is not a threat to a mechanic, but many of us aren't mechanics. A house that's a fixer up is not a threat to a contractor, but many of us are not contractors. And so you have all this work that needs to be done and you haven't disclosed it to the person so they can fully assess whether they can take on something like that or not. And now when they jump in and they're like, man, I didn't know what I was in for.
I know you a super freak. I know you was a super freak, girl. You said nothing to me. I like that. But
listen,
but
what you just said is the gospel. That is powerful. That is on point. Exactly. You would be surprised that at how many spouses wouldn't even be friends with their spouse if they knew what they know now.
Right.
It would be cool on the streets if I knew what I know now.
You're right, man. Oh, you're right.
But y'all gotta understand, I'm not going to disclose it because I'm trying to get him or her. And if I tell him, he may not purchase that car, that house, or something because he don't look like he don't got no mechanical skills. And first of all, he don't look like he have no patience for that. And most of the time, men would not marry no woman. Most of the time, if they come in and say, "Listen, I've been with this many people. This some of the stuff I've learned. This some of the stuff I did." Oh, we're like, "Oh, word? Oh, okay. Well, shoot, man, look at the time. I got to get up out of here." we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. We can't be honest if you want to sell that car or you want to sell that house because people are not gonna buy it. It's too many choices. We got way too many choices out there, and most of us got a list about what they want and what they don't want. And I ain't never seen a man who had a marriage list that said freak at the bottom of it. Gotta be a freak, dog.
It's in invisible ink.
It's gotta be.
You gotta scratch it with the right code and see the right thing to see it. Hey, listen, if you like the conversation, if you like what we're talking about, make sure you go ahead and share it with somebody. Share it right now so other people can join into the conversation and listen in, and they might have something to say too. So we want to hear from them too. Let me get Thaddeus Dunbar.
Since we're getting real. Okay, since we're getting real, in my experience in counseling couples, the spouse, if a spouse has cheated, adultery, do you think that sex was the same type of sex they were having with their spouse? You think that they're going to cheat for it to be the same? Something was brought out of that spouse that kept them going back. But it wasn't communicated to the other spouse. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Mike, well, you can't tell nobody you like to be choked. You can't tell your husband you like to choke me. You can't say that. You not for no.
Hey, not
scriptures or something. Because you can't tell nobody like to be
not
choked.
when you done told him you ain't been with nobody but two people. Now you ain't lie.
We gotta be honest. Because
you gotta be honest.
Because listen. Whatever happened, the other person brought it out. She walked around the house, or he walked around the house with it being in their mind. It just wasn't communicated. Now, let me add a little spiritual side to this too. What we need to understand, based off what we said earlier. When you're marrying somebody, you're marrying into their issues. If you marry somebody and they have a spirit of poverty, now poverty is your fight too. If you marry somebody and they have a calling on their life, can you handle the warfare that's associated with their calling? When you marry that person, you're marrying their thorn, you're marrying their issues. And sometimes the spouse is wrestling with something that the other spouse warfare with all their life. They woke up and they thought that I do was going to solve everything. They thought they was going to come down and say, I do, we married. But then you wake up the next morning and you're like, what did I marry? You not only did you marry them, but you married into the issues of their family, their generations, and their warfare. So you got to be prepared when you say I do to handle the warfare that's connected with that person.
Yeah. Let me get Thaddeus. Thaddeus Dunbar says sometimes there is no disclosure because people have the desire to be married, but because they didn't see a positive marriage growing up, they wouldn't know what to disclose. He said you don't even know what to talk about. And I think not having some kind of outlet where you see positive communication between a man and a woman, not seeing that is detrimental. I talk about my my ex-girlfriend in college. Her mom and dad would fight. I didn't grow up in the house. It was just my mom. My mom didn't have no man around us. So when they would fight, I would disappear. I mean, I'd be sitting right there, but you wouldn't hear nothing from me. I'm like, I ain't trying to catch none of that. You know what I'm saying? But when you grow up not seeing positive communication or any communication at all, then how do we acclimate ourselves to conversation that we've never seen before and go into a relationship? How do we even prepare ourselves for that type of conversation if we've never seen it?
We have to expose ourselves to the right counsel. Many of us, especially African Americans, we are from broken homes, and the internet is not helping us right now because we see a lot of compromise on both sides. Stuff back in the 80s, we would not tolerate what we've been seeing now, and they're accepting the language that they say to each other. You know, it's okay to call her a B now. It's okay to call him this or that. So now it's a deterioration within our society in relationships. You know, my son, the way he treat his girlfriends, good God Almighty, but they accept it.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Afia says, right. It's so funny how women need to be understanding with body count, but when it comes to the women, the men are out of there. So men aren't as understanding when a woman has a body count, but the men, she said the men have a body count, but women have to be understanding. Listen, I don't think women are as understanding because I guarantee you are not aware of how many women you slept with till you had to tell the person you really want to be with. It's a bragging right. It's, oh man, until you get to the person you want to be with, and that question comes, so how many people you been with? Oh, you gonna lie.
But why would you ask? If I care about you and I want to make you my wife, why would I ask you something that I don't want to know the answer to? Because if it's not zero, I don't want to know the answer to it.
We do that all the time, though. We ask questions we don't want to know the answer to. I don't know why, but we ask questions we don't want to know the answer to.
But whatever they say, if they say 3, if they say 2, if they say 1, we're going to have an issue with whatever it is they say, though. Am I lying? Am I not right?
Yeah. You're right, Bo. If you love them, you got to be willing to accept what the answer is. And that's the key. If you love them, you got to be careful, especially men, because the reality of it is sisters can go through some brothers.
Like that.
Like that.
Yeah. You be talking about, do you still have it with you, or do they leave it outside?
Listen.
And when they're bringing it back.
Listen. That's just being real.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just being real. Yes.
Walker LaShawn says a lot of time honesty with a man will often make them ask questions like, who was better? Then boom, you instantly lose interest. Oh yeah. Listen, women have that comparison issue too. It's not just men.
I just don't know why we asking the question. I just want to know. Somebody tell me why we asking. It ain't nobody's business. Whatever you did before me, you was trying to get yourself together. I was trying to get. They ain't even. Let's skip that. We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that.
It speaks to the insecurity. To me, that's a bad sign when people ask questions like that, because that's revealing a level of insecurity within that particular person. Because just like with that question, it's going to be a continuation.
Yes, it's going to be
when
more.
Something goes wrong and something happens. Okay, did they cook better than me? It's going to get minute. It's just going to just keep going because of the insecurities within that person.
So, Mike, let me ask you before we go. I'm sorry. Let me ask you this, Mike. So you've been a pastor. It seems like God people pull on you the hardest. It seems like no matter how much time you got for God people, they always need some more time. How do you juggle? How do you juggle giving God people what they need and giving your family and your because you're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs don't have no hours. They got to be out there when the money out there. So I'm just curious, how do you juggle? How do you possibly juggle the church folk, the career, the entrepreneurship, and the family? I don't know how. Tell me how you do it.
Well, the first thing you got to do is take care of your body. You got to take care of your body physically. You got to know your body, and you got to have a conversation with yourself. When I wake up in the morning, my phone starts ringing, and my wife will tell you I really don't sleep. I sleep from like 6 o'clock to 11 because I don't shut down at night. I can be up at 2 in the morning working on something. And so in many cases, when people are pulling on me, I have to have a conversation with myself in order to talk to them effectively. It's not easy. It's easier now that my children are older. So they're independent, they're on their own. When I was younger, when they were younger, I just had to get quality time. I had to look at my calendar and make quality time. And I had to listen to my wife to really feel the heartbeat of my children. Hey, they need more, they need this. And I had to make that time. It's a sacrifice.
Yeah. Afia said it's funny how men can't take it if a woman has slept with several men, but when it comes to the number of women slept with, she needs to be understanding. I hear this more frequently than not, but I think the issue with it is there is a fear of disconnection if I disclose this information, and so we hold back the information because we're afraid that if I share this, that person is going to leave. When you really probably need to assess it, because it's gonna come out at some point in time. So you need to deal with it.
Yes, and I agree with that, D. But you gotta be smart enough to know who you talking to. You gotta be smart enough to know where they are in their heads, and more importantly, where they are. Like Mike said, if they're insecure, if they have insecurities. Listen, we don't pay attention enough to folk before we just start telling them stuff. You better be paying attention about it. You better pray on. Listen, tell you something. I know you think it's too late to pray after the parents been around your I know. Listen, I know you do, but you better pray before you start disclosing information that you probably shouldn't disclose yet.
Yeah. You got to make sure people are ready to handle what you putting out there.
But we tell too much anyway, though. I'm really having a hard time because we tell too much, but we don't tell what we need to be telling. We don't talk about we don't talk about how many bankruptcies we done had. We don't talk about how much money we have. We try to keep in our account. We don't talk about none that's gonna further the relationship. We're talking about booty. Why do it always end up at booty?
Hey man, we hyper focused on that anyway. We severely hyper focused on that because that's what, when we think intimacy, that's where our mind goes.
Automatically go.
Yeah. We're not thinking how to actually relate to somebody, how to connect with somebody or anything like that. Reginald Love said, let's be honest, neither party wants to know. No, he's right. You don't really want to know. So how do I still connect with somebody and I'm curious?
Right.
Because
How
here's
do
the
you
thing, people got to understand. Here's the thing. If he look good, if he fine, you not the first person to notice. You not the
Right.
first person to tell him. If she
Right.
look good, if she fine, you not the first person to notice. You not the first person to tell her. So if you just meeting her, just assume somebody then at least made a run at her, if nothing
Hey,
else.
because if she ain't none of that, you probably the first.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying. You gotta want, if you wanted her, the chance that somebody else wanted her.
Right. Well, you know what? This conversation has taken a turn
Right.
into an area that's not my expertise. You know what I mean? People want to know how many people you've been with, and they're curious about the past instead of focused on the future. Haven't you gone through enough? What attracted you to that person? Why are you dragging your past into something that has potential? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you need to really
Yeah.
make a decision, you know, to evaluate that person. If they keep asking you questions about their past, it's leading to you. I'm telling you, that person is insecure. They are in competition with your past, and you're trying to leave it. So
Yeah.
that would be, you know, they would be suspect to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then if you keep asking, it really shuts the person down from giving you information.
Anymore.
Because you're asking too much.
Yes,
You
exactly.
can't handle it.
But I think the average person is way more insecure than what we lead on a lot of times. I think most people are really insecure. When you get to the core, you be like, wow, I would have thought the way you looked that you would be a lot more secure than what you are, but a lot of times it'd be quite the opposite.
And a lot of times people are asking questions to find out if they're better in a particular area, versus like doing what they supposed to do, you know?
But if you get into a relationship, Mike, and you treating her the best that you can treat her, why would you? All the rest of that take care of itself. You should want. I think for each other, you should want to be the best that anybody has ever had, that she's ever had. Like and not just talking about sex. I'm talking about the mental, because one thing that people don't really know is relationships are a lot more mental than they are physical. They're a lot more mental. Man. And I think people think if I can just break her back, then the relationship is great. But you're not gonna be able to do that for so long. If you married any amount of time, you better enjoy it now. Because it's not gonna stay that way. It's not gonna stay that way. Believe me.
I think here's the misconception I think people have. People think that you have to earn somebody's love. You don't earn somebody's love. Loving somebody is a choice. Now, what you do is you prove yourself worthy of the love that somebody chooses to give you. Okay. You work to do that. You work to prove yourself worthy of that love. But them loving you is a choice. They choose to love you. So regardless of who else has been around, if they made the choice to be with you, they made the choice to love you, that's their choice. And that's so you feeling like you're trying to earn that, you're working towards something that you already have, and that can create frustration. It's like, why are you working for this? And you already got it because I've given it to you. All you have to do is live in that and prove yourself worthy of what the love I'm choosing to give you.
Exactly. Yes.
And that's what we got to do a better job of. So I want to ask real quick, you know what I'm saying? What are some signs? What are some signs that somebody has begun to pull away? Some signs that this person is beginning to emotionally disconnect, or that you're experiencing some abandonment or some deprivation as far as emotions in relationships? What are some signs that people can kind of look out for?
Well, I will say the first thing is no communication. And then people a give up mentality, like whatever, they're not connected, they're disconnected. Whatever you want to do, not that they're in agreement, they just don't really care. So it's an emotional disconnect. And then when you're talking about sex becoming a routine, everything just really becomes a routine. And that person can be disconnected for a while, but yet functioning. And it could indicate that there's somebody else, but it also could indicate some level of depression, some crisis that they're in. It doesn't necessarily have to be that they are cheating. They could just be going through something and the spouse can no longer help. You'll be surprised how many spouses cut off the other spouse from having access to their heart and their emotions. They would rather call somebody or talk to a stranger because, like I said, sometimes it could be competitiveness that has worked its way within the relationship, or their spouse, it no longer feels that the other spouse understands them or their comments are in their best interest.
Yes, it got to be a comment. Something's been said that they can't trust. They feel like they can't trust with that information anymore.
They can't trust it.
Afia says withdraw from things y'all used to do together. So things that y'all used to enjoy together, you start to pull back from that. That's a sign.
Or they could still do it, but disconnected from it. They're not enjoying it. It's just routine.
Yeah.
Me and Cheryl love to watch movies together. She don't want me watching. If she come home and I'm watching something without her, she start asking me all kind of questions. You still love me? We connected.
I can rewind. I promise you, I can rewind.
Oh yeah, that's our thing, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so go ahead, D. Go ahead.
So I was saying, so what does a person do if you start to recognize this behavior? How do you respond to your spouse? How do you respond to them if you start to see this? What can a person do?
Now, to me, based off my experience, it's going to require you being sensitive to the mood, and change your approach and your conversation. Go into his or her world and begin to ask questions concerning what they're talking about. If they're talking about some flowers, I went to Home Depot and I saw some flowers. Don't just ignore them or look at them and keep eating, but really, what kind of flowers did you see? Oh, okay. What color are they? I'm looking them up online. These are beautiful. So that's investing in their interest. And when you do that, it brings fulfillment because they know that you're concerned about the minute things in their life. And that's going to carry over to other victories. So communicating is the key, getting into that spouse world. You know, if my wife comes to me about a job or something, I'm going to listen to ask questions. I'm not listening just for her to speak, but I'm listening so that I can ask questions concerning what she's talking about so that she knows I am investing my time, my attention, my energy into what you are saying. It starts with that. So now when I say something to her, she knows that I mean it. Because I've given her that attention, and it's vice versa. So communicating effectively and going into the conversation versus hearing the conversation.
Absolutely.
That's one key.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it starts with communication, because I truly believe that sex should be in response to effective communication.
Wow. Thaddeus says must try and find a root of where it started. Now here's one thing, and I tell people a lot. If you're in the conversation, if it's time to have the conversation, like communication that you designated for it to happen, and that person is shut down, you've shown them something outside of that conversation that made them feel that they couldn't be vulnerable with you. And listen, for men, vulnerability is a tricky thing. It is a tricky thing for us because emotional connection requires vulnerability. And if something that I was vulnerable with you about comes up in a conversation that you use it to try to one up me or to hurt me, I'm shutting down.
We're not saying nothing else to you. It's done.
We're not gonna say nothing else to you. We ain't gonna say why you say that to me. You know how I feel about that. We just gonna shut up. We're not gonna say nothing. Granted, shouldn't do it. We should get to the point where we say, listen, I just got to be honest with you. I don't trust you because when you did X, Y, Z, but you got to explain what it is that brought that mistrust out. Miguel Tarsha says, if you okay, go ahead.
What we can't be talking about, you heard me when you had said about my friend, we because now you looking at the sideways like, do you believe this? He over here crying. We can't win. We can't win.
Only person we can cry about is our mama. That's it. That's it. We can't cry about nobody else.
I think that if as men, if a woman has said something that causes us to shut down, I don't think we need to give up on it. I think that we need to prepare a time that we can have an intimate conversation with you and just tell you, hey, baby, listen, when we were talking about this issue, that really hurt me, and as a result of that hurt, we didn't talk the rest of the week. I apologize for that. But I kind of wanted you to see that I was hurt, but you wasn't sensitive to it. So let's have this conversation, because I don't want the enemy to come in and start messing with our minds and tempting us.
That's good.
So I think a conversation is needed. And I think that because there's a mothering side to our wives that we need to tap into, but we can't treat them like we treat our mothers.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
That is true. That's true.
Sometimes you ought to try like laying on your wife's lap, just to lay there, just to pull out that mothering side, or lay with her in a way that she can hold you, to nurture you, to fulfill you, to caress you, because sometimes as men we need that.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna get the choker? When we get the choker?
Well, the thing I think a honest conversation is with our wives is, when we have sex, are you able to live out your fantasy with me? Are you able? Do you feel comfortable? And if you're not able to live out that fantasy, what do I need to do to create that freedom in your mind, that freak that's been there for years?
Yeah. Come on now. I need some organ music or something. Hey, when you picture that six pack, it better be my face. That's all I'm saying. It better be my face on it. It better be my face. That's all I'm saying.
Wow, that's good, man. That's good. Oh man, that's good.
No, that's good.
That's really good, man. That's good. Yeah.
Wow. And
you said it. We told you to go fast, man.
You gotta be in shape for it, and you gotta be ready for it. And mentally, you gotta be able to say, wait a minute, hold on. How long this been here? What? Yeah.
We gotta do a show on that
mentally. You can't be tripping. Where you get that from? Blah blah blah. No,
Mike, we gotta run through final thoughts, but we gotta have you back. We gotta get you back, man. We gotta get you back.
We gotta do a show on emotional fitness. We gotta do a show on that. But we had our final thoughts, man. It's been a good time. So go ahead. Final thoughts.
Me first?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I want to say that marriages are definitely under attack, and it's under attack within, not only inwardly, but outwardly. And you got to be careful of who you're talking to or conversing concerning marriage, because some people are not qualified to advise you in your marriage because of their brokenness. And understand, a marriage is a part of two broken people coming together. Some of them wouldn't even be friends if they was on the street. But all of a sudden, something brought them together. And now you find yourself wrestling with some issues that you've never had to wrestle with. And it's because your spouse had them. So I want to just encourage people to really learn to be transparent, to communicate. Tell that if you're not happy or satisfied or fulfilled, communicate that with your spouse. And you will be surprised how they may respond to you. That's my final thoughts.
My final thought is, man, that was really good. But my final thought is, just let me choke you like once a month. If I could choke you once a month, that's my thing. And see, when I try to lay up under my wife, she always end up hitting me, telling me leave it alone. I'm doing too much. So but again, man, I think great words about intimacy and sex, man. Wow. Wow. That's my final thought. That's my final thought. That's my final thought. That's my final thought. That's my final thought.
Listen, when it comes to emotional abandonment, emotional disconnection, the best defense is a good offense. Make plans to have intimate conversations. Set aside time to where that person knows that they'll have an opportunity to share with you certain things. You'll have an opportunity to disclose certain things about something you felt. Being in a place where you feel like you can't let it out, or you can't get it out, or you have no way to express to the other person, that gives you a sense of hopelessness. And once people feel hopeless, they will disconnect. So we got to be actively caring about the other person. We got to care enough to listen, or even be concerned about what is wrong with them. Even if they're not talking, we should be able to tell that, hey, I need to check in on them. But that comes from loving and caring about the person that you're with. Like Teddy P said, it feels so good loving somebody when somebody loves you back.
What are you gonna say?
Yes, you can do all these different things yourself. You can cook for yourself. You can clean for yourself. You can buy your own clothes, but it means something to have somebody who cares enough to do it for you. Just if somebody makes the choice to do that, cherish that choice that they made to love you and to care for you, and reciprocate and do what you have to do to maintain that. And that's my final thoughts for this week.
Wow, man, time flew by, man. I told you it was gonna be quick.
Is it off?
It goes, man.
We get ready.
Miss Wanda said, Apostle Mike, is that what happened last night? Uh-oh. We're going in the hour too. No, real quick before we get out of here. Real quick before we get out of here, man. Let them know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and everything.
Okay, we are having service at 1008 North Collins. You can go to my personal Facebook page or to the Believers International Church Facebook page and find information on our services. We are alternating during the Cowboy season because our sanctuary is loaded by the stadium. So, and I have several platforms. We're on Clubhouse on Sunday nights. My wife and I are master dream interpreters. We interpret dreams, so we help people in their dreams that are from God. And then also have the spiritual. Yeah,
glad you put that disclaimer out there.
And then I also have the Spiritual Awakening broadcast on KGGR Great Gospel Radio 1040 on Wednesdays and Fridays from 11:30 to 12. I've been doing that for years now. So, and then we have Nataf, our Facebook page, and also Instagram and TikTok on Nataf, in which we talk about the deep prophetic things of God. So I have a lot going on. Plus, of course, I have my own business, Celebrity Airbrush Designs. You can follow me on Instagram with that.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I
ain't doing enough. I need to do some more stuff, man.
I'm just thinking, wow, do you have it?
I know, right? I know, right? You can find me here Monday night. No. Tell them what you got going on, John. Tell them what you got going on.
I got going on what Mike got going on. But mine is the same.
I didn't even mention that, did I?
Yeah. You can find me on all social media platforms, John Yogi or at bigyogi.com. Right now we're doing a lot of hosting, and I have a social media page. I got a YouTube page, John Yogi, and Yogi Lou for my Yahoo. And you can reach me. We're doing comedy. We back on these stages. We're beating these stages up, y'all. We beating them up. So we're back on these stages, man. We're doing a lot of hosting. So reach out. And I'm here on Monday nights. And I'm finna get back in the clubs on the weekend. So I will keep you guys posted.
Nice. And let me just say, MC extraordinaire, this man right here, comedian John Yogi, MC extraordinaire. If you got an event, you need a good MC, somebody who gonna keep the people engaged and everything. This is your man. The only difference between him and Steve Harvey got the money right now. That's the only difference. He's an awesome MC. That's the only difference, bro. He's an awesome MC. As far as I'm concerned, you can find me also on BS3, Overcomers Empowerment Ministries. Do a broadcast every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. You can catch me here on Man Talk Mondays on Monday nights. Also Monday mornings and Wednesday mornings, you can catch me on Clubhouse. Teaching Gospel of the Kingdom Club, Kingdom 101. We teach basic concepts about the kingdom of God in Clubhouse. So if you're up that early and you want to listen in, join in. There's quite a few of us, but that's what I have going on. We got some more things happening, more things coming up. We're going to keep y'all posted. Absolutely. Yeah, I think y'all going to like what we got going on. But we appreciate everybody. Didn't mean to hold y'all this long. Thank you for the support. All the people that showed up tonight, we appreciate you. Thank you for getting in the comments and talking to us as well. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to our podcast as well.
Sure.
We appreciate share it out. Tell all you people. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for showing up tonight. We're gonna catch y'all next week. Peace out.
Be blessed.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.